Hello YouTube, what is up? I am the Wade Smallbringer. Now you might know me from my gaming channel, also the same name, the Wade Smallbringer. And if that's the case, then good. You already know who I am. You know what I do. Now you might be wondering, why am I making vlogs now? Well, the reasoning is, when I was at the age of 2, I was diagnosed with autism. And since then, I've been living with it. You know, dealing with it, going through life every day. That kind of stuff. But as I went through life, I noticed there was no one really speaking up for the autistic community. There are people who tried to, Autism Speaks, ASON, but there was never one definitive person putting an opinion out there on what they thought of the autistic community or what they thought of autism-related stuff. You know, I noticed it, and when I looked on YouTube, I didn't really see anyone that supported autism or people with autism all that much. There are like mothers who are showing off, look at my child, he has grown so much and he is so much better now that we have cured him of autism thanks to some dietary thing. Or you know, if people with autism did make vlogs, they would update it like every 3 months, maybe, hopefully, if you got a little lucky. And I want to be full-time dedicated to increasing awareness of the autistic community. There's not really a whole lot of awareness for us. We're ignored or downright abused sometimes, you know, and that's just something I don't want happening anymore. You know, there are times where you gotta say no more and start taking action for yourself, and that's what I'm doing. I'm speaking up for the autistic community, for those who either can't, don't have the ability to, or don't want to. I want to speak up for the autistic community, and that's something very important to me. Now, now that I got my own personal life story out of the way and what I want to do here, what am I going to do on the channel? Well, basically, what I'm going to do here is make vlogs of stories related to autism, autism-related stories, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm going to talk about things happening in the autistic community, what I think about it, and what I think about, you know, how people with autism are being treated, which right now is not that good. The thing that really inspired me to start doing this, though, is a news story that I read about a couple called The Lands. For those of you who don't know, in Maryland, I'll be posting a news story in the description below of what happened. 2 news stories, actually. What happened is that police raided a home in Maryland that belonged to, yes, a John and Janice land, but what they found there was downright horrifying and shocking. They found 2 autistic 22-year-old men who were locked up in the basement. The basement had been deadlocked from the outside, so they couldn't get out. There was, allegedly, according to the story, it smelled like urine. It seemed like they were living in a squalor, basically, from the news description. And, you know, this was back in July, so I thought, you know what, okay, they're going to see justice for what they did. And then they were acquitted, in spite of the fact that overwhelming evidence that showed not necessarily criminal intent, but criminal action. You know, abuse of vulnerable adults, I believe is what they were charged with. But that's exactly what it was. I mean, yeah, sure, they weren't intending on hurting them, but they still, you know, locked them up in a freaking basement with very little in terms of anything, really. There was nothing in that room. Not even furniture, which allegedly, according to Janice Land, was because the boys had peed in all their furniture, they had to throw it out, and were waiting to buy new stuff. And allegedly, the boys were nonverbal and would try to escape, which really is just highlighting something bigger within the autistic community. Well, not necessarily within the autistic community, but with just communities in general. People with special needs, mental needs, are ignored. They're thrown to the bus, not thrown to the bus, under the bus, and just told, screw off. You can't do anything in society, so we're not going to bother caring about you. And that's wrong. You know, there was a mental health community back in the 80s, 70s, but those were shut down in order to give, quote unquote, a stable community, which also means basically the government wanted to cut money. They decided that people with mental disabilities were perfect targets because what are they gonna do? Tell their parents? that kind of stuff. They can't really speak up for themselves. So, screw it. We can burn them as much as we want, save a quick buck. And it's really endemic of that problem, that these parents had to lock up their sons in order to, keep them from running away and getting hurt. I'm not saying that that line of thought justifies what they did. No, what they did is downright wrong. And the worst part of that story too? The prosecuting, they didn't win because the defense attorney was so good. They won because the prosecution gave up and became their defense attorneys. Yeah, by the end of the case, the prosecution was arguing in favor of the defense. It's at that point I just say enough is enough. Okay, I'm not gonna watch this anymore without speaking up. Someone needs to. I don't see anyone doing it, so I'll do it. Screw it. And that's what I want to do. I want people in the autistic community to no longer be ignored. And I don't want them to feel alone. Because I know what it's like to feel alone and like no one cares. But I'll be talking about the next big story in terms of the autistic community next week. And we'll be talking about a fairly notorious person with autism, Christian. And he's in prison. And we're going to be talking about him. Covering what I think about him and how he's really endemic of what I don't want to be in life and what no one should strive to be in life. But with that said, this has been the Wade Smallbringer, signing out. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this vlog, please sure to click on the subscribe button to see more. And you can also click the link in the description below to follow me on Twitter. Who knows, I might actually post something for once. And also, if you find yourself waiting for the next vlog, you can check out my gaming channel by clicking on either of the two playthroughs that I'm currently doing. Right now it's Kingdom Hearts 2 or Halo 2 Anniversary, depending on your pick. But I am actually a giant Halo nerd. In fact, I'm such a giant Halo nerd that I currently write articles for a website called HaloFollower.com. So click the link in the description below to check that site out. Who knows, you might even see an article that I wrote. But with that said, I'll be seeing you guys next time.